Welcome to the Compassionate Capitalist Show. We're going to jump in and talk about really growing your business in the way that is necessary, and that is lead generation, so you can convert to customers and generate revenue that helps you accomplish everything that you are doing in a business, and all the reasons why investors invest in businesses, because it's through growing your revenue you get to a potential of selling the company or do something else with that. And it's as important for everybody that's listening right now. And I have really a unique and highly qualified guest to be on the show today to talk about this. And I always love to have guests that don't just talk the talk, but actually walk the walk. And that is with compassionate capitalism and a little touch of conscious capitalism today. So let me tell you about my guest, David Valentine from Avadel Agency. So David owns 7 businesses, which have generated over $1 billion collectively for 1,000 clients, including major brands and Fortune 100 companies like Target, Time Magazine, and American Express. As the CEO of Avadel Agency, David sought to craft a unique solution to the pain points of marketing and lead generation. Using a conscious capitalism and unconventional marketing approach, he was able to rapidly grow his businesses by investing money into his people instead of paid advertising. That's a unique concept. After selling his first business, he acquired 3 companies and has invested $3 million into companies this year. That's the compassionate capitalist side of it. His mission is to employ over 200,000 people and revolutionize the way we reward good talent. David is driven by supporting entrepreneurs at any stage of their business journey, and in fact was featured in Forbes magazine on an article, 3 Ways to Corporate Leaders Can Show Courageous Leadership. And then here's the big one. He wants to be so big that governments can't ignore him because his companies take up too much of the GDP. Now talk about, a combination of the compassionate capitalist movement and the conscious capitalism all blended into one with really, a bold dream to make a difference in our business community. So welcome to the show, David.
Oh, Karen, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. So now your story actually is even more interesting than that intro, really.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. You had a health scare at an early stage that changed your perspective on life and business. Share with us, as we get started, share with our listeners, that revelation.
Yeah. So I, as a kid, I had always been an entrepreneurial spirit. My first thing that I ever sold, I was 4 years old. I sold a 4-year-old, picture drawing to a family friend for $40. This is back in the 80s. That was a big deal. And then when I was in elementary school, I started selling candy bars out of my backpack. Buy them for 25 cents and sell them for 50 cents sort of thing. And then my first grown-up business was when I was 25 is when I started that one. I started a catch-all, do everything for you digital marketing agency. And it grew into a nice little book of business. By the time 4 years later, I was 29, it was a 7-figure company. I had networked my way to getting lots of revenue and generating lots of results for the company. And I went to the doc, and like you do, because I was like, I'm 29, I'm getting close to 30. Maybe I should have a checkup. I haven't had a checkup since I was a teenager.
Oh.
And so I go in and they're doing their tests, and then they do a stress test. And I go back a week later to get all the results. And the doc says, "Hey, Dave, how do you know that you're going to have a heart attack?" And I go, "Hey, doc, I don't understand that question." And he goes, "You don't know that you're going to have a heart attack. You just have one." He said, "We've tested 4,500 people. You're the most stressed out person we've ever tested."
Wow.
And he said, "Listen, your daughter is 3. If you want to see her graduate high school, you're going to need to change your behavior because you're not going to make it to 40. And so that really put me on this trajectory of a couple things. One was, how do I do self-care well, right? And 2 was, how do I build businesses that don't require me to be the guru, the guy, the person? Because like a lot of business owners, I was and still am extremely competent. So when in that first business, every client knew me personally. They had my personal cell phone. They had my email address. And so they may be working with a very, very talented account manager or strategist or ad buyer that's communicating very, very clearly about what it is that they're going to be doing, the strategy behind it, the rationale, everything. And what would always happen is the client would say, okay, this is great, but what does Dave think? And they're like, well, Dave agrees. Like, Dave looked at this and he approved it all. Yeah, we just want to hear from him. Or this would happen. Hey, we're having a board meeting next week and everything's going really well with the marketing. Can Dave fly in? We'll pay for him to fly in. We'll even pay first class because we know it's short notice. We'll pay him first class. Can he fly in and speak to our board for like, be in the board meeting for 8 hours and then fly back? And so it's one of those things when you have small kids, you're trying to get a business started. There was just a lot of people that needed me, or they thought they needed me. And so I really started to have to address, like, how do I build these things differently? And that led me down the path of ultimately selling that first business. And from that, starting new companies that don't require me to be in a physical location. And now I get to work from anywhere. And a lot of times I'm working from the mountains because I love the mountains. So
Yeah.
it's a fun time, Karen.
And I hear it's next to a river and 3 waterfalls. I love waterfalls.
Yeah, we live in a pretty magical spot. A lot of our friends and family love to come up here and vacation with us. So
Wow, absolutely. So was that when you came up with the idea for Avondale, or was there an additional sort of trajectory before you got this agency going?
yeah, so when I started my first company, I knew I wanted to own multiple companies, and my objective was to create a marketing agency that really allowed the other companies to thrive, right? Because there's two things that you really need for a company to be successful, and they're the two that most people don't think about when they think about starting a company. And one is marketing. Hey, I got to have leads. I need to have meetings booked. I need to have web traffic. And the other is sales. Hey, I need to be able to sell something. Most people are thinking about, I got to make the product right. I got to get the operations right. I want to make sure. And those are things that also need to happen. The problem is if you can't generate meetings, if there's no demand for your solution, and if you can't sell it, then there doesn't matter how good the product is. And so a lot of people get it in reverse. They think, well, I just got to make my product perfect. It's like, actually, we need to make sure that people understand really well who you are and what you do. So how Avadel came about was, in the first agency, I needed new clients. I needed new business. And I found that it was really hard to get B2B conversations about sales going through digital advertising. It's just challenging. It's not that it can't happen. It's that you have to have a very large budget. You really have to pay attention to it. And there's a lot of lead nurturing. So we hired an outsourced sales development rep firm, or SDR firm. And they did a terrible job. They just booked us no meetings. And then I wrote the copy for the emails, and all of a sudden we started to see B2B meetings booked. And so I said, well, this is ridiculous. Like, I just did their job for them, and I'm still paying them monthly for this. So I stopped paying them. I started doing it in-house. We added a wrinkle where we would send something really interesting in the mail. So in the early days, we started sending piñatas in the mail that came outside of a box. And they would land in people's front office, and then they'd call me up and they'd say, hey, Dave, we'd love to talk with you. We'd love to meet with you, whatever. A lot of times I would still go, because this was pre-pandemic time. So you would fly places. So I'd fly to San Diego. I'd fly to Minneapolis. I'd fly wherever it was that these landed. And I'd show up in the conference room. The piñata was sitting there. And I'd say, hey guys, so you really like that? They were like, that was the most creative thing that we've ever gotten. And that's why we wanted to talk with you, because you're from a creative agency and we'd love to work with you. And so that's how I really built up that book of business really solidly. And when I sold it, I was like, hey, I can do this. It doesn't take as much time, but everybody needs it. Like, every business on the planet needs more meetings. They need more leads. I think I can do this. And so we ended up doing that, and it's been incredibly successful.
And so that's what Avadel does to generating the leads.
Yep, they do
creative marketing kinds of approaches.
Yeah, they do cold email and then creative direct mail follow-up. So pinatas, messages in a bottle, handwritten notes that are written by an AI robot. We find all sorts of interesting, fun, dynamic things that are really going to get people to engage.
Okay. And then does it also include outbound sales calls? Or is it really just getting them to want to call you?
So it's really just booking meetings directly on our clients' calendars, right? So like our whole thing is we'll do everything leading up to you taking the sales call, right? And then it's your team's job to close the deal. And so we're going to not do phone calls, because one of the things that I figured out early on, Karen, was if you're paying someone to make phone calls and book meetings, and you say, how many meetings have you booked this week? And they go, none. And then they keep having zero. Well, their job is on the line. So then they'll start to say whatever they need to book meetings for those customers. And what it ends up doing is it makes it so that the customer gets on and they go, hey, so, I'm super excited to meet with you. And the prospective client that they're talking to comes on, they say, hey, well, I hear that you do finance or whatever. And they're like, no, actually, I have a SaaS product that helps people with their SEO, right? And they're like, what? And so then it becomes this big disconnect because they'll say whatever they have to say. So we just do email and we just do direct mail because they're things that we can control the messaging really well. And then we can maintain consistency and brand cohesion. So
Yeah.
those are the only two that we do.
So, and then so then it's even a higher quality lead because the prospect is taking action to book themselves onto the calendar.
Bingo. That's exactly right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that's really interesting. So, and so your other companies, you do that for your own internal companies as well as external companies or your clients, right?
Bingo. Yeah.
And so is that part of how you were able to scale these 7 different companies so quickly?
Yeah, it's definitely part of it. I think, we basically took this idea of like a hub and spoke model, right? So Avadel is essentially the hub. It's the biggest company. It has the most revenue right now, although there are other companies that are starting to compete with it aggressively, which is fantastic. But, a lot of the companies that we own are companies that are looking for similar audiences. So in example, we own a PR firm. They're looking for other businesses as well. They're looking for businesses with 20 to 500 employees, generally speaking. And we're able to book them a lot of meetings every month because we're using Avadel to help that company really grow. And we do the same for SaaS companies that we own. They're reaching out to other companies and saying, hey, we have a solution for you that's economical, that's you can do yourself, or we can do with you, or we can just have it done for you, right? And so there are different models that we have that really work, but Avadel certainly helps. And then what's fun about this too, Karen, is all the other spokes, all the other companies help each other and they help Avadel as well. So the PR firm does public relations work for Avadel, and they do work for the flight school that I own as well. And so they do all sorts of other things to help the other companies out. And it becomes this really beautiful ecosystem that is kind of helping each other grow, and the rising tide is lifting all boats.
Yeah. Okay. So is how does company culture fit into that as part of, because I know one of your big passions, as we talked about at the beginning, is the getting your employees to be really advocates of the organization. And so do you feel like do they share the same corporate culture within all your different organizations, or is that something unique within Avadel that you push down through? Or talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so all of the companies share the same culture. We have the same core values across all 8 companies. In fact, we're finishing a book right now I'm finishing a book right now on the 6 core values that we hold. One of the things that's interesting, Karen, I work in a consulting way. I have a consulting firm that produces a lot of content and helps entrepreneurs out, because I have it's my mission to help entrepreneurs. And so anyways, the consulting clients that I have over there, a lot of them don't have core values. And if they do, they've never communicated them to their staff in a meaningful way. And so a lot of times what ends up happening is they just adopt our core values. They're like, can I borrow those? I'm like, yeah, go for it. And I think that there's a reason why they work is because we've seen them scale up 9 different companies now. And so they've been refined over the years. They're different than they were when I started my first company. And I think the last time they changed was probably 5 years ago, because we kind of finally found that really good sweet spot of like, man, this is exactly what we're looking for. And so the core values definitely drive that. Conscious capitalism definitely drives it. Compassionate capitalism definitely drives our thinking as well. And that's pervasive amongst all the different companies. And then how we get buy-in from our employees is pretty simple. We just take care of them. We do crazy things, Karen, and I have been called crazy for this by some entrepreneurs. They really think that I'm off the deep end. But like this year, we gave out $500,000 in pay raises for just inflation. We're not talking about pay raises in addition to, performance, and that was just for one company.
Oh, wow.
So $500,000 spread across 30 employees. And so the reason why we do those things are they feel loved, they feel honored. Transparency is one of our core values. So I never hold anything back. One of the things that we've started to do, which is really fun, is an AMA, an Ask Me Anything. And so I'll show up to a Zoom call once a month, and our employees can just ask me whatever they want. And I will tell them anything that they want to hear about myself. I can't tell them about other employees, of course, but about me, about what we're doing with the company, why we're doing it, how we're doing things in the portfolio, why we do those things. I'm just an open book. And what that really breeds is this belief that, oh, Dave really does love us. The leadership teams at my company or at the other companies really love their people. And I believe they're trying to do the best that they can to advocate for me, my needs, my family. So of course I want to go to bat for them.
Yeah, sure. And they want to go to bat for you.
Bingo.
Right? So are those core values on your website, the Avadel website?
They are not actually, but I'll mention them really quickly.
Yeah.
So they're in order of importance, and Karen, I'm going to share something really fun with your audience that I don't think I've shared before. So the order is really important. So number 1 is tenacity. Number 2 is curiosity. 3 is initiative. 4 is accountability. 5 is humanity. And 5 is transparency. 6 is humanity, right? And so what's fun is those kind of set up in 2 sets of 3. So the first 3 and the second 3. Well, in order to be in leadership, you have to have the first 3 in spades: tenacity, curiosity, and initiative. If you don't have those, you're never going to qualify to be on the leadership team. But what's interesting is when you get into leadership, we actually flip the order. So we say you have to lead with humanity, transparency, and accountability. And what that does for leaders' minds is really mind-bending. They go, oh man, I really have to think about how I can serve my people best first. Think about how I can tell them what's going on organizationally, not hold anything back, not try and protect them, but just be honest. And then I need to be accountable first. So if there's a mess up in my department, it's my fault first. And then I'll start to figure out how we can work this out together. Yeah. So anyways, yeah.
Okay. Very good. Very good. And then I will mention your website. So it is Avadel. That's how you spell Avadel, right? And .agency.
Yep.
My Southern I had my Southern going on there, Avadel. So Avadel, Avadel .agency. So go check that out. So let's switch back over into talking about marketing, so what do you find are the unique pain points of marketing lead generation that small businesses and growing businesses face when deciding to invest in outsourced lead gen, right? The expertise of that, because I can tell you, I mean, we all get emails, right? And lots of
Right.
people go through webinars or go through the whatever CRM they're using. They have webinars, and they even have the one I use, even have an AI tool that is supposed to help you create the copy of an email outreach. And it's clunky, right? And so
Yeah.
even though it does help with some of the breakthrough, I guess if you like really don't know how to like do benefit stuff in an email, it's a good starting point. But that's a thing where people say it's an investment in somebody else's expertise so that you as a business owner can elevate. And
Yeah.
something for the investors listening, if you're looking at the analytics of the companies that you are invested in and they're not scaling, these are probably hidden pain points that you should look at. And if you're on the board or you're an advisor, and say, hey, what are you doing about your lead gen? Because they don't know what they don't know. And is it just not selling, or is there some other kind of pain points that when you talk to business owners, they say, oh yeah, I feel that. Oh yeah, that is me. Oh yeah. And then they see the value and they're willing to invest, because you also have a unique business approach.
Yeah. I think that I think there's a couple of things you touched on a lot there, Karen. So I'm going to try and unpack that, because that was good. And I want to hit the notes there that I heard in my head. So one of the things is, whenever someone's looking to hire lead generation companies in any kind, a lot of times here's what happens with other lead gen companies. They'll say, okay, tell us about who you are. The company tells them, this lead generation firm, who they are, what they do, who they serve. And then the lead generation company just takes it and regurgitates it to, through a mechanism, right? So they'll take everything that they said and they'll create these 12, 20 sentence long emails, and they'll send them out, and they'll send them out in multiple stages and whatever. And then the client doesn't see any results. And they're like, well, what's going on? And most of the time, Karen, it's not the SDR company's fault that they're not generating results, and lead generation company's fault. No one wants to hear that, right? They're like, but I'm paying you to go do this. And the honest truth is, most companies are terrible. Small and growing companies are terrible at communicating simplistically what they do, who they serve, and what the results are. People, whenever they engage with your company, right, they're looking for typically one of four things. They either want to increase their health, right? They want to be more emotionally healthy, more mentally healthy, more physically healthy, whatever that is, right? They're wanting to improve their health. Number two is they want to improve their relationships, whether that's their relationship with their kids, a romantic relationship with their parents, whatever, right? They're looking to improve that. The two that most B2B companies are doing are, they're saving them time, either the time of their staff or their personal time. Hey, we're going to offer you a virtual assistant that's going to be less expensive, and they're going to save you time so that you don't have to write and respond to emails, and it's only like $10 an hour, and you can have, as few as 10 hours a week. Oh, well, that's fantastic. That saves me time. The second one is, that most businesses are helping. So total of four, but the second one that most businesses help with is money, right? I'm either going to make you more money or I'm going to save you money. So I'm going to increase your profit or your bottom line. The problem that we see oftentimes is clients come to us and they go, well, I am a SaaS product, and here are all the things that we do as features. And they want to sell their features, Karen, and the features don't sell. The results sell. Right. So we have a very simple way that we walk clients through. Hey, here are the two things, and this is going to be, if you're listening to this, these are the two things that will generate more meetings for you. It's going to generate more traffic for you. It's going to generate more leads for you if you take these seriously. And I mean this. This is the secret sauce that I give out for free to anyone that wants to listen. It's the good stuff. Number one is, you have to make your case studies results oriented, and you need to shorten them into a sentence. So here's the formula that we use for that.
Really? Okay, everybody, get your pencils out.
We worked with X client and got Y result in Z time. We
Okay.
worked with X client, we got Y result in Z time. So what this may look like is we worked with a leading technology company, or you may actually say their name, right? Because sometimes people are like, well, I've got an NDA. Okay, fine. Use something. We worked with a Fortune 100 company, whatever that is, right? And got a 38% increase in their online sales in 62 days, right? Or whatever that is. What we found was if you have in time 90 days or less, people will respond a lot more aggressively than if you have something that's like over 18 months, because it's too far. They can't see that far ahead. They're only looking at most 90 days ahead. So if you can shrink it down, it's going to make people feel like, oh man, I'm going to get a pop really quick. So that's the first thing. Can you reduce your case studies into a results-oriented way that's going to make them feel like they're getting a lot of value? The second thing is, and this is really fascinating, Karen, you need to create an outrageous offer, an offer that sounds too good to be true and is actually helping you increase your profits and acquire more customers. Here's what I mean by that, because people, when they hear an offer, they go, oh, I'm going to drive down price, I'm going to give more away. And that's not the case.
Okay.
So a great offer should actually increase profit and customer acquisition. Big companies do this all the time. AT&T right now, I think, is running a deal where if you move from another carrier over to AT&T, they'll give you an iPhone 14 Pro for free. So, if you have a family of 4, you move all those people over, an iPhone at retail is $1,000. So if you're getting it, and let's just say that they're paying 50%, they're probably paying more than that, but let's say they're paying 50% for the hardware, it's $2,000 worth of hardware that is out of their pocket that they're giving to you. They know they're going to make that back plus some over the next 2 years of your contract. So one of the things that you can do is start to think about, okay, what are the things that would make a customer say, I don't want to work with you because of X, Y, and Z? What if you started to create guarantees? What if you started to create, and they could be conditional. Hey, we will guarantee X if you as the customer client do Y, right? What if you started to create, you could create some unconditional guarantees. We guarantee we will get you up and running in 2 weeks. No matter what you do, we're going to have your campaigns on, whatever that is, right? What are the pain points that are going to make it so that when a customer comes to you, they go, A, I can't believe that you said that to me in a marketing message via email, via ad, whatever. B, that makes it really easy for me to engage because no one else in the industry does that,
Right, sure.
which really means no one else, I haven't found anybody else. And C, it's like, that's a big objection that I have to working with someone like you. So if that's how you want to do it, then I'm really interested. And so if you can come up with those two things, the case studies and the outrageous offer, which I do an outrageous offer workshop every month, it's very, very helpful to people, you will find that you'll grow your business exponentially fast. And I know that because I've got 8 businesses. They're growing very, very quickly. And the reason why they're growing quickly is because we're doing exactly what I'm telling your audience to do.
Yeah. That's that guarantee. That's that, I said that very few people, other than like functional guarantee, particularly on the services side, very few people. And when you've got sort of this kind of what most people feel is a warm, mushy sort of thing called marketing, to put a guarantee in that is really, really phenomenal. So as we start to wrap up here, it seems like you adopted conscious capitalism perspective on business ownership and leadership before it was trendy, investing in the way they do business, your people, the way you do that. Was that just something that you were wired with, or was it a concept that you had been introduced to and adopted?
I think a long time ago, I used to hear people say when I started my first business, like, business is bad. And that always rubbed me the wrong way. But I knew what they meant, right? I knew what they meant was there had been this transition where business had stopped being for people and it started being for shareholders, for spreadsheets, and for profitability. And that was it. And I think that business is this beautiful creative expression of humanity that is furthering our cause, not detracting from it. when it's used the right way. And like anything, you can use it in a way that's harmful. And so for me, I had this idea early on that business should be for people. It should be aiding the thriving and flourishing of individuals. And then and the reason why I had that was because I had been reading people like Ram Dass and Byron Katie and Alan Watts, who are these beautiful spiritual teachers who really espouse, and they're not talking about business directly at all. In fact, never. They're talking about the interconnectivity of people and how it's really all one thing. So if we're all interconnected, when you think about the environment, we're a part of that. And so I think it was hardwired a bit. And also, I've just put myself in a space to learn from spiritual teachers often, and I understand the score of the ball game. Like, I can't take it with me, Karen. And so I might as well help people change their lives.
Yeah, give more contentment while you're on this earth, right? And
Bingo.
know that you to me, it's like the legacy that you leave is you know, is better than when you came in, right?
Yeah.
You either the impact you had on people's lives, the impact you left in your community, and is better for you having been here.
Yeah. Yep. That's the goal.
Well, I was gonna say we would end on that, but I do have this question, and I do want to say, because you talked about your workshop. So before I ask my final question, what do you have something you want to make sure people go to your website to get a white paper, or can they sign up for these workshops?
Yeah, so I do have an offer to give to your audience if they're interested. We are actually putting together an outrageous offer e-course, and they can take advantage of that by the time this episode launches, it'll be live. So they can just go to davevalentine.co and they can find the live e-course there. And it's free to them. And it actually takes people through the process of why these offers are important, how to create them, what's the benefit to it. And the benefit is so high, Karen, that I really just want to give this stuff away for free. And I'll walk anyone that wants to go check that out and take a look at it. I'll walk you through exactly how we do it and exactly how we've built 7 out of the 8 companies into 7 or 8 figure businesses in 2 years or less. Wow. And so it's really helpful to people to help them grow. And we build a lot around these offers.
Okay. davevalentine.co, right?
That's it.
Okay. So that's great. And then of course the website for the big business, avadel.ag. God, I can't talk. Agency. So the final golden ticket question: what gets you out of bed every morning?
Oh, it's helping entrepreneurs. It's it, right? Like I think that so many of the ills that we have with business or in the society at large is that a disproportionate number of the population is employed by a finite number of employers, and they feel distant from the goal, from the work, from the enjoyment of their coworkers, and the juice, the beauty, the goodness that is humanity and business.